Welcome to the Dream Job Podcast, Episode 5. I'm Mark Istook. Katie Featherston is a creator. Now, you may know her as an actress from the Paranormal Activity movies, or maybe as a singer if you caught her EP, Here With Me. But as I learned after our chat, I think creator is a better job title. Now, first things first, Katie is a fellow Texan, and that is kind of how we know each other, having connected on Twitter through a mutual love of our home state. Though Katie and I went to rival colleges, TCU for me, SMU for her, we grew up literally a few miles apart in my hometown of Fort Worth. And that shared Texas background is certainly a theme in our discussion. The fact that she showed up for our chat today bearing gifts, a fresh bowl of queso, only cemented our Lone Star connection. So even though Katie went to SMU and lived in Dallas for a while, I still think there is plenty to learn from her story and her journey and the challenges that she has faced and overcome in making a career as a creator. Clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Can't lose. I figured it would be appropriate to have a little Texas flavor to the beginning, right?
I like that. Yes.
Well, we have our shared Texas roots, Katie Featherston, from, I would imagine, like maybe 15 miles down the road. From where I grew up in Fort Worth.
Yeah. So I lived with my mom in Arlington, and then my dad lived in Fort Worth. So every weekend I was driving all around Trail Lake and TCU and the whole
Camp Bowie, Hewlin, I-20.
The book stop across from the Hewlin Mall was like the book stop that I got all of my books at growing up.
I mean, how many hours did I spend in that bookstore at that mall?
Yep.
I feel like we could geek out on Texas stuff for the next hour and alienate anybody else who is not from the Lone Star State and does not have the affection for the greatest state in the union that we both do. But thank you for hanging out with me.
Oh, man, I'm so happy to be here.
So it's the Dream Job Podcast. A lot of people, I imagine, think that you have the dream job, the job they would love to have. Is what you do now, is this what 10-year-old Katie Featherston dreamt of someday doing?
Yeah.
Living in Los Angeles, Instagramming pictures of her dog.
The dog is an added bonus. I did not know that I was going to have such a great dog. You thought
you'd have a good dog, maybe not the great dog.
He's pretty great. I decided to be an actress. I remembered it was the very first day of 7th grade. And before that, I had wanted to be a pediatrician because I basically liked the approval I got from adults when I said that out loud, and they would all go, "Oh, good job!" And I'd go,
pat
"Yeah,
on the back,"
exactly." And then in the first day,
so you were tuned into the idea that grown-ups bought into that.
I knew I liked the idea of helping people, and I don't know, it was like pushed on me, like you want to be a lawyer or a doctor, or all the quote unquote like good jobs that adults want kids to have.
Right.
And I was like, I think I'll be a pediatrician. And they're like, great choice, Katie.
We don't have to worry about you.
Right. And then the first day of 7th grade, I did this improv in class, and I was like a painfully shy kid. And I just thought, I can be scared this whole year, or I can just get up there and do it. And so I did it, and people laughed, and I was like, what? This is it.
What was the class?
It was a drama class, but it was like a very entry-level like speech drama class. And she was like, we're going to do an improv. It's an aerobics class. Who wants to go up and be a part of the aerobics class? And I just thought, what am I doing in here? Okay, I'm going to go. And it was life-changing.
And this is which junior high?
Barnett Junior High in South Arlington.
And who was the teacher?
Her name was Mrs. Morgan, I believe. And I only had her that 1 year. But it was a pretty pivotal moment. And so from then on, I was just like full steam ahead. Like my junior high class was all so I could get as prepared as possible for high school. And I walked in that high school and I was like, I'm going to own this place, and I'm going to do everything I can in high school so that I can get into a good theater college. And then in theater college,
not a med school, not a good med school.
Nope. That ship sailed. My dad, I think, was like, oh, she's going to change her mind. She's going to go back. And I never did. And so I think I am doing a version of what I had dreamt of doing, but I think it's actually evolved over time and is, I think, in some ways more difficult and in some ways different, but overall I think better because I didn't know what was all out there when I was young, and I do now.
Better how?
Better in that I for so long, I identified as an actress. Like, I made that decision, and then that was my identity. I was Katie Featherston, actress, period.
And that was the 20-year-old Katie who's in college, or that's once you're out here and you're working?
That was 7th grade Katie.
Okay.
I mean, and that's a long time to identify with something so specific.
Right, especially because most people don't decide what they're going to be until they get to college or beyond.
And I never varied. It was such a, and it just kind of unfolded and became something I loved more and more and more and more. And I think now I went through a period where I wondered if I still wanted it, if I was doing it because I had committed to it so young and wasn't brave enough to try something new, or if I really did still want it. And so I took some time and kind of wrestled with that, and then realized it was like, oh yeah, I do want to be an actress, but what I really want to do is be a creator. And so that can mean a lot of different things. And so growing up, I never thought, oh, I'm going to write songs and make music, or I'm going to produce something, or I'm going to be a storyteller on stage and tell these, there's all these sorts of things that I want to do now that I didn't even think of when I was young. So in that way, it's better. My scope is bigger.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I do think obviously people are familiar with your work as an actress, but I think that term creator is a better descriptor of the different things that you do between acting, producing, directing, some writing.
Yeah.
Some music.
Some music, yeah.
So, let's see, what else? Do you paint?
I do paint.
Do you crochet?
I knit occasionally.
Knit, okay, all right. So you cook.
I do cook.
And bake. I'm just trying to think of all.
Do I bake?
Do you bake? Okay.
I mean, I don't bake well. I'm going to be honest with you. I made some cookies once, and I posted a picture of what the batter looked like before I was going to bake them, and it was like a soup. And my friend Amber, who can make
cookie soup.
Cookie soup. That's basically, and it just turned into
actually sounds really good.
Crumbles. So I just had handfuls of cookie crumbles. So I wouldn't put that on my business card.
I'm just trying to think of all the different ways people can create that you could add.
It's endless.
To the list.
It's the only thing I couldn't do is I think be a good baker or be a good dancer. I'm not going to win any awards for that.
No paso doble in your future. No ballet. No rumba, cha cha.
None of it.
That's all right.
None of it.
We got to know our limitations.
Yeah,
But I think if that's, you talked about viewing yourself as an actress, and then this expanded kind of umbrella of being a creator. There's something invigorating about that, obviously, which is what draws you to creating. What do you think that is? Because it's not the kids laughing, which is what turned the light bulb on in 7th grade.
Right.
It's got to be something else.
I always thought growing up it was the part. It was the part that I had. It was the feeling of creating a character. It was, But it was interesting when I decided to record some of the songs that I had written. I went to Nashville, and my good friend Clint Wells, who's this magical guitar player songwriter out there, he produced my EP, and basically I spent a week trapped in a studio with 2 guys who were super funny, super talented, and they brought in all these great musicians, and we took my threadbare songs with just me and a tiny guitar, and we turned it into these beautiful, fully fledged pieces of music. And at the end of the week, I was so invigorated and so full of life and so happy and so just grateful. And I realized that feeling is what I'm going for. And that feeling can happen if I'm in an ensemble on stage. It can happen if I'm stuck in a studio with 2 really funny guys and we're making music. It can happen if I'm producing something. It can happen if I workshop a story and I tell it in front of an audience of people and they receive it. It can happen in good conversations when it can happen anywhere. And so no matter what it is I'm creating, it's not really about the thing. It is about telling stories that are important to me, but it's about the experience of telling that story. And that experience comes from who I'm with and the connection that's happening.
That's interesting. Do you think, that's very self-aware to kind of understand what it is that motivates that process. To say it's not about the thing, it's about the feeling and the experience and, kind of the it's not the destination, it's the trip.
Yeah.
When did that light bulb turn on for you? When did you realize that aspect of
when I went to Nashville?
Motivated?
So I did the EP maybe 2 years ago now, and before that was kind of in that time where I was like, do I really want to be an actress?
By the way, shameless plug. Here with me, available on iTunes.
Yeah,
right there you go.
And all of the proceeds go to the Human Rights Campaign and Center for Reproductive Rights. So
there you go.
But Yeah, because that was around the time when I wasn't having a lot of fun auditioning, and it wasn't I didn't feel passionate about it, and I was kind of afraid to let go of this title of actress, because if I wasn't an actress, then what am I, right?
Oh yeah,
which is
so your identity is kind of woven into
which
that.
I knew was unhealthy, but I didn't know how to do it any differently. And then I went and I spent an entire week being so creative in a way that was so foreign to me, and it filled me up more than I could have ever imagined. And I all of a sudden was like, oh yeah, I mean, all of us are so much more than the things we label ourselves with. I was like, oh, I'm a storyteller. I'm a creator. I am an actress. Yeah, sure. But that's not all that I am. And so that was really like, I don't know if my friend Clint will ever know how like life-changing that project was for me. Because for him, it was just fun to hang out with friends and make music. But for me, it was pretty big.
Scary?
Yeah. It was scary to make it. It was scary to sing, because I like to sing, but I don't like to sing in front of people. So,
So go make an EP.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it's when a real musician who I respect so much, offers up something like that, you say yes. You don't go, I don't know, I'll just stay home. No, you say yes and you go. Mm-hmm. So there was no question there. It was scarier to release it than it was to make it, I think. I sat on it for a long time, which was fine.
Just waiting to click submit to the iTunes store, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it went back to the whole, like, if I made something acting related, then I would feel fine sending it out into the world because I own that part of myself.
Okay. But and that's a label you're comfortable with because you've worn it.
Right. And I've worked on it and I've invested in it. But this was something new. And, it's kind of what we were talking about before we turned on the mic. It's like you just got to sometimes put yourself out there. And
sink or swim.
Right. And that's and I think whether you sink or you swim, there is a real success in the doing of it, because that's the difference between, I don't know, people who at the end of their lives look back and go, wow, like, look at all these things I did and tried and look at what happened, versus the people who look back and go, man, I really wish I had done that. I don't want to look back and go, man, I really wish I had done something.
I think the hard part for maybe somebody who's listening to this and they think, yeah, but I'm not creatively inclined. I'm not an actor or an actress. I don't want to paint. I don't whatever. I think maybe the lesson there is whatever it is, reading, traveling, eating at amazing restaurants, whatever it is that gives you that feeling of joy, of satisfaction, of contentment, whatever that pursuit is. Go find it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's easy to kind of lump people into a binary of, the creatives and the non-creatives. Right. But I don't think that feeling is...
I think we all have that feeling. And I also think everyone is creative. Like, people think creativity means you have to make something artistic, and that means you're creative. I think you can be creative in business. You can be a problem solver. You can be someone who knows how to put people together in the right way, knows how to navigate a room full of people, knows how to, deal with personalities. And that is a certain type of creativity and like an intuitive awareness. And so I think everyone is creating all the time, whether they acknowledge it or not.
I think the idea that that feeling that you described, though, is not exclusive to people who know that part of themselves. That's empowering.
Yeah.
And, it could be working with kids. It could be, volunteer. It could be a million things.
Yeah. I
started figuring out how to check that box for you.
Exactly. I started volunteering this past year, and I go every week, and I'm sitting in a tiny room full of like really lovely people who are in a line of work that I know very little about. But we are all kind of similar souls, and we spend 4 hours a week together, and we love each other, and it's so fun. And then we are also helping other people at the same time. And it's that same feeling that I get, slightly different, but at the root of it, it's the same feeling I have when I'm making music or when I'm, producing a short film or whatever it is. And so for me, it's just like I'm always searching for that emotional high.
I imagine, just based on what I know of you and where we're both from, relatively small town Texas compared to Los Angeles,
right?
At least. For me, the move out here was something that would have never been on the radar. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a part of that reserved aspect in Texas where the creators are the people who are they're a little out there, but I'm not out there. So I can't do that.
Right.
So Did you have a hard time getting over that hump at all?
Yeah, I remember in college, SMU has two SMU. It's like
Go Frogs.
A little competition there. Mm-hmm. SMU has two like theater tracks. They have the acting track, and then they have the other. I can't remember what the other one was called, but I got in on the other one, and the other one was like you're directing, producing, writing, and acting, right? And I was like, nope, I want to be an actor. So I got in, and then I was like, move me over to the acting guys, and you have to like petition to be moved and everything, and they don't do it all the time, and they did for me, and I felt very safe being in the acting track, and that. Like I look back on that and I go, that was in me the whole time to be the producer and the director and the writer and the actor. I just wasn't ready. I was scared. And then I came out here and I remember my mom would be like, Katie, you just need to make your own work. Like you've got all these ideas. You just need to do it. And I'd be like, yeah, sure. And then would continue to go audition or even making the first Paranormal Activity movie. If I really look back on that, it was the three of us. We were improvising the script. Like I would make a shot list for the day because I'm so type A, I have to be organized. Mm-hmm. And, Warren would say like, okay, well, we're going to do these. And I'd be like writing down all the specifics and I'd be like marking them off the list. And so there were all of those things were kind of brewing in me. I just had to own it.
Oh, fascinating. So you did bring up paranormal activity. I want to start connecting the dots between Texas and that experience. So SMU, as you mentioned, you go to SMU and by that point, okay, the pediatrician thing, I left that behind in junior high. So you're on the acting track. And how quickly after you graduated did you move to Los Angeles?
I graduated in May and I moved out in August. And I waited tables, all the theater kids waited tables at Buca di Beppo in North Park back in Dallas. And so I worked there every summer, and then my senior year, I worked there throughout my senior year so that they would transfer me. And
it was Chili's for me.
See?
Chili's on University Drive in Fort Worth. If someone wanted a grilled chicken pasta, I feel like I could still go.
I sometimes have dreams/nightmares that I'm still waiting tables.
That's not take the dream part off. That is a nightmare.
Yes.
Cold sweat. You're in the weeds. You forgot somebody's Diet Coke. A church group comes in. They're not going to tip you.
Mine is that I go there to eat and they're busy and I'm just like, guys, y'all are here. Let me just help. And I start to help. And then by the end of the shift, I like look up at the schedule and my old boss has added me to the schedule. And I'm like, wait, no. I was just helping one night. Oh my God.
Oh man, we can psychoanalyze this.
And then I realize, and then in the dream I realize, wait a minute. I don't have to do this anymore. Like I'm okay now. Okay, no. And then I wake up from the dream. So I wake myself.
That's a whole narrative arc of deeply layered insight into your fears and your hopes, right?
And then I like get myself out of it, which is also interesting.
All right, so you Buca di Beppo in North Park.
And then moved out in August and marched into the Buca di Beppo and City Walk.
You're like, I've got big goals.
Yep.
None of this like, Dallas Buca. I'm going Hollywood Buca.
City Walk Buca. And worked there for 5 years. And it was...
Explain City Walk for people who have not been to Los Angeles.
It is the place where dreams go to die.
But they get like painted in Technicolor on the wall.
And there's glitter and there's lights. There's a lot of...
It's like the Strip in Vegas, but not, and in Los Angeles.
I actually tell a story about City Walk and I compare it to like the kind of sexual griminess of the Vegas Strip combined with just like a sea of baby strollers in like a 405 kind of gridlock. That's what it... But with like big lights and music and like weird stores that sell like novelty socks. It's just it's a long walk from the employee parking to Buca di Beppo.
And when you wipe the tables, you can just feel the sadness. It's like a film.
Yes, it is an intense But hey,
if you're from out of town, you really should go visit. Check out the Buca di Beppo there.
It's bright and colorful, and you can see a movie. You can buy some candy at the candy store. I have not been since I left. That I don't think. Maybe once. I think
you've done your time. You've had enough. All right. So long story short, it's Buca in
City Walk. Yeah.
Universal City Walk.
Yeah.
And you're just plugging away. You got the headshots.
I've got the. I look back on the 23-year-old me that moved to Los Angeles, not knowing anyone, not knowing anything about how to be a business person or a businesswoman in this industry, and I think, God bless you, child. You have no idea what you're about to get yourself into.
But isn't that almost a necessity?
You have to. Yeah.
You had to be that naive, ignorant, if you will. I mean, because I know I certainly was.
Yeah. And just with this kind of unwavering faith in yourself. It's like, okay, well, of course. Because I remember growing up, people would be like, oh, you're going to be an actress. Well, what are you really going to do? And I would just kind of go, oh, I'm really going to be an actress.
You wait. And do you have like a list of those people that you can kind of go back?
I don't. It's like in my mind, like all of them. I know them, family members, teachers, like all sorts of people, and I knew they all meant well. I was just like, oh, you've got a lot of fear. I don't. I'm going to go do this, and it, I think that is really serves you, really served me, and I look back on that, and I still have it, although life does have this habit of kind of taking some of that and it's hard to hold on to that in such a pure way the older you get. But I still try to really cling to that and go, oh, yeah.
I think that's another one of the lessons, just the anchor that fear is. And I'm certainly not past that anchor and having that around me sometimes.
I think that's the like big life lesson of how to not operate from that place, but how to operate from the,
Yeah, I mean, it's that age-old piece of advice that you regret the things that you didn't do more than the things you did. And I think fear is the reason why.
Yeah.
But the fear didn't keep you from making the move.
No.
You land out here. Mm-hmm. Where?
Sherman Oaks. An apartment right across from Whole Foods, right by the 405. Oh, yeah. Looks much nicer now than it did when I moved here 12 years ago, but it was a very cute apartment. I lived with a roommate of mine, who I also went to college with. So it was just she and I. We were both working at Buca di Beppo. And I just got some headshots and started auditioning on like LA Casting and waiting tables. And I just kind of put my head down and started going. But I knew nothing. I started a scholarship at my college for like theater kids as they're graduating, because no one tells you how expensive it is. At least no one told me how much it costs to like really get a good foundation of materials that you need as an actor, on top of paying rent, on top of having an acting class, on top of living in Los Angeles. And so, so I did that so that people could get their like, first set of headshots or their first acting class or whatever. Just, I wish. The only thing I wish is that I had come out here with
Katie had been around to help.
I wish that I'd had a mentor.
Katie.
I wish that that 35-year-old Katie could go back and tell 23-year-old Katie, okay, girl, this is what you got to look forward to. This is how you navigate this. There is something to be said for learning that stuff on your own, but also mentors are nice. There's a 45-year-old woman out there who wants to mentor me now. Like, just bring it. I welcome it.
Okay, so pick an Oscar-winning actress that if you could say, Diane Keaton, will you mentor me?
It would be Lauren Graham. She went to SMU. She was in theater there. She's in grad school there, and she's just. I read both of her books. She's so down to earth and cool, and seems very level headed. And there are a lot of similarities between she and I that I'm just kind of like, oh, what would Lauren Graham do in this situation?
I've met her a couple of times, just in interview situations, but always been charmed by her. And I love her work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you picked a good potential mentor. So Lauren Graham, if you are listening.
If you're out there and you hear this.
Yes. Katie would love to hear from you.
Yeah, let's just I'll like buy you a coffee. Let's just talk about life. We can talk about Cecil O'Neill, who I know she liked a lot. It's one of our professors.
There you go.
Who is the only reason I graduated. So I have a fondness for him too.
All right, you're in Los Angeles. You've got the headshots. You are going out on auditions. And what was the first audition? Was there one that went well for you, or was Paranormal Activity the?
I remember I got a commercial agent, and I was non-union, so I got a commercial agent, and I did some like used car commercials in San Clemente and some weird.
So you selling the Datsuns, the 240Z?
I was saying something like,
come on down.
If you don't have good credit, no problem. Just come down here and we'll sell you this car and you'll love it. And very smiley. So that kind of stuff felt like a success. And then I had this one scene in a really horrific, scary movie. It was not scary. It was terrible. But I had one scene in that where I did all of this prep work. I took it very seriously. I did all this background on my one scene for this one character. And I get there and the woman's like, so your character's a prostitute, right? And I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? She said, what?
What? Who that?
I didn't, that's not in the, interesting. And
I think you ought to mention that breakdown.
Yeah. So, I had those kinds of things. But the first audition that felt different was the Paranormal Activity audition.
Mm-hmm. And you had to drive down to San Diego for that, right? Or did you come up here?
I auditioned in North Hollywood.
Okay.
But then we shot it in San Diego.
But it's a Craigslist ad?
It was. Mika always says that. Maybe he put it on Craigslist. I got it on LA Casting.
Okay, got it.
And I remember reading it and thinking like, man, this guy is taking this seriously. Like, this seems creative. There was just something about it.
I've heard you say that before, that you knew, you're like, this has just that little spit and polish that makes you think.
Or maybe it was just something in my heart that went, this is going to, and auditioned, improvised the audition and then improvised the callback, met Mika at the callback. And one thing that's really cool is that he released the audition tapes this past year and I hadn't seen them until now. And I looked back at that 23-year-old girl who was so confident, who just walked in that room, sat down, owned it. And at the end of the audition, I'm like, hey, so when will I know? And I was like, who is she? Where did she go? So it's so interesting to kind of look back at where you came from and to see what you've lost and what you've gained and how you've changed over the years.
I could talk about the Paranormal Activity experience for a while, but I think you have spent a lot of time talking about it. There are a lot of resources out there, but to me, what's cooler is to talk about the takeaways from it because you have this unique shooting experience where you're down in San Diego and you were talking about how much of it you improvised, which is, by the way, a very different muscle than the muscle you perfect in a lot of acting classes.
Yeah. It's a different, there's a lot of freedom in it, but there also is there's nowhere to hide, If there's a moment that rings untrue, then it's just, you can see it a mile away.
Having not ever taken any improv classes, the biggest lesson I've gotten just from what I understand about it is the whole yes and. It's the not putting up stop signs. It's the helping, the back and forth. And I find that works even in what I do with hosting and journalism where you have a partner and it's always about let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Let's never put a stop sign.
Yeah.
But I think there are life lessons in that too.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting. In college, I took this one improv class that we took, and our teacher Dan Day, who was a very stoic man, we all thought that the class was going to be like how to be funny in improv, and he was like, no, this class is about being truthful in the moment.
Because that's what people think it is. They think it's about I got jokes.
Right.
I got lots of jokes.
Yeah. And
Michael Scott, I've got a gun.
Yeah.
It's that kind of
exactly.
thing.
But it's what's I think really great about improv is that it's just being human. Maybe it ends up being funny. Maybe it ends up being sad. It doesn't matter. But you're just being authentic with another person.
But the authenticity is what makes it funny, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Although Paranormal Activity is not so funny. But
it's not unless you like relationships crumbling and people getting possessed. Then super funny.
There are some who would love that. So you had this experience with a movie that you felt from the beginning was this is going to be something special. But then it doesn't come out. For a while.
For years.
And are you just thinking, all right, I just did this thing and whatever? Or are you still kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop?
We never, we knew we were shooting it and we felt so committed to it and so wanted it to be the best it could be. And we got along so well. Like immediately it was clear that the three of us were meant to be together, And so, but I never thought, man, this is going to, spawn a franchise. Like that was not in my head. And in the 3 years following, I believed something would happen. I believed I didn't have
3
any.
years is a long time.
It is a long time.
To plant a seed and wait for something to grow.
And you know what? People laugh at vision boards, but I had one on my wall, and it said, "This is no lie." It said, "By August 2009, I want to be financially independent. I want to be looking for a home. I want Paranormal Activity to be a success, and I want to be in a relationship." I had it on. And for 3 years, every day I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that," and I'd keep working. It's not like I sat there and stared at it all day and didn't do anything, but I worked hard, and that was in my head. And I'm telling you, not August. It was 2 months later in October. All of those things, and I took it off my wall, and I was like, well. Okay, what's next?
I got to get a vision board.
I don't think it's just the board. I think it's what you put your focus on, but it was a nice reminder every day to, what we were going for. But we never knew. It was, when the movie came out, I was working at City Walk.
Still Buca de Beppo?
Yeah, and I put in my 2 weeks the day the movie, the same weekend that the movie opened in theaters, and we knew it was going to be a big thing. And so people would go see the movie at that movie theater, walk across City Walk, come into the restaurant, sit down in my section, and I'd be like, "Hey guys, welcome to Buca de Beppo."
And they'd freak out.
They'd be like, "What are you? You look like the girl." I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I've got 9 more days before I can leave here, because I just couldn't.
Nope, not me.
I couldn't.
Somebody else. By the way, I'm Katie, so if you need some extra Parmesan, let me know.
Let me know. I don't know. Everybody was like, why didn't you just go? And I was like, I told them I'd work 2 weeks. I'm going to do it.
See, that's the Texas in you.
That is 100%, 100% my dad. Yeah.
So you brought up your dad. Mm-hmm. How supportive were your folks while you're out here and you're trying to make it work and you got this thing in the can, but you're waiting tables and...
They were always so supportive.
And how important was that to staying out here?
I mean, I think I don't have anything else to compare it to. I've always had really supportive parents. But the more I look at other people's experiences, whether it's volunteering and hearing people talk to me on the phone or friends or whatever, and I see people who have parents who aren't supportive, I more and more am grateful for what my parents have done and continue to do for me. I mean, my mother is like the most emotionally supportive person ever. I can tell her anything. It doesn't matter what I do or who I am. As long as I am being authentic, she's happy for me. And she, and my dad doesn't always understand this life that I've chosen. But despite not understanding, he supports me anyway, which is really cool of him,
Invaluable.
And he's like a retired police officer, rancher from Texas who put me through theater school at SMU. Like, that man worked hard so that I could go play Zip Zap Zop and, prance around like an animal and playing tag in a movement class for 4 years. And he did it because that's what I wanted to do. And that is pretty big,
Man, that's a huge lesson.
Yeah.
I always knew that my parents were supportive. My dad drove me out here and likes to tell the story about how when he turned around to get on the 10 and head back home, just tears.
Oh.
And it was all I could do to keep from stopping and coming back and taking me back to Texas with him. And my mom as well. Both of my parents were unbelievably supportive. But it was that's so much part of the fabric of my relationship with him that I don't even think that I was aware of that.
Right. Same.
I just knew that they were, if it was something I wanted, they were going to try to help me get it, achieve it, whatever. All right. So you decide to put in your 2 weeks notice. Was that the moment when you thought, okay, like not I've arrived, because that kind of suggests some kind of
stasis or something.
Yeah. And even like a materialism, but more like, all right, I can take a breath. I've reached a plateau that is one I wanted to reach.
No, it felt like I'm so glad I can pay my rent every month and not worry about that. Thank you, Jesus. Like, I'm so grateful. Mm-hmm. And the other part of it was like, I felt like I had been thrown into the choppy waters of the darkest, deepest part of the ocean. And it's like, sink or swim, Katie. Like, it was very, it was a huge life shift that after 3 long years really happened overnight. And there is no preparing for that. And so,
because you go from the table 11
to Jay Leno, like, what is that? I mean, I remember we had, thank goodness Mika was there and we could do it together, because I had never done any publicity ever. And then we had like day 1 of publicity, and there was the Paramount people, and my manager was there, and we're like, Billy Bush was my first interview. Billy Bush interviewed me, and then we had a full day.
There's a joke in there somewhere. I'm just too lazy to make it.
It's interesting. He never once looked me in the eye. And so I always remembered that. I was always like, why is this guy not like looking at me? Like what's going on here? It was very strange. But yeah, it was crazy. It was really, really crazy. And a lot of it's a huge blur. And it's interesting because it's now years later that I'm sort of unpacking some of that stuff. And
we're almost 10 years.
10 years from filming it. And then,
but was it 08, 09 when it
came out in like right around October of 09?
I'm pretty sure it's 2017.
That's
like
now?
8 years. Time flies.
Golly. And when was I guess it's been like 2 years or 3 years since the last one I was in. Yeah. That was a huge, huge chunk of time.
But I like the fact that it's a blur though, because it is like this thing that you aspire to, not the publicity and all that stuff, but the opportunity to have something that people are seeing and responding to.
Yeah.
And then it happens and it is like, go.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And there was a lot of really amazing moments that, that I actually went and did a storytelling show the other night, and I talked about Paramount turned 100 years old at some point recently, past few years, and they had this big, epic photograph that they organized, and they invited, all these legends, Harrison Ford and Tom Cruise and Meryl Streep and me. What am I doing there? But it was amazing, and I, had the opportunity to, and I was so like socially terrified. I was just like, who am I going to talk to in this room? That it ended up being really fun, and I got to thank Steven Spielberg for his input in the movie, which was, like this thing that
he helped change the ending.
He did. He like saw it, and then he was like, I like it. I've got some notes, and so we went and did reshoots. He wasn't there for them, but we went and did reshoots based on his notes. And basically his biggest note was like, don't kill Katie, like let her character live, which was, I appreciate.
Thank you,
yes,
Steven.
thank you, Mr. Spielberg. And so I got to like shake his hand and thank him, and he was so kind to me. And, so there's things like that happened that I just think of like, wow, I can't believe that was me. I can't believe that I really had the opportunity to have that moment. And so it was a crazy time. Yeah.
So the hard thing is you do this, and now you got to follow it up.
Yeah, which is, and what is that? I think that goes back to like what I was talking about earlier about did I really like, because when the dust kind of settled a little bit, a lot of the world I really liked and a lot of the world I really didn't like, and I didn't know what part of me really wanted to be an actress or what kind of actress I wanted to be. I don't have any desire to be really famous or to be a big movie star. There's some cool stuff that comes along with that, but I don't think it's a life that, and I always thought I did. I always thought, of course, I'm going to win an Oscar. I'm going to, X, Y, and Z. The truth is that that's not in my soul. Like that is not what my passion is. I want to like make really great indie movies, and I would love to be on a TV show. I always want to be able to go to the grocery store and go home and have nobody care that I was at the grocery store and nobody snap a picture. Like that, like whatever that sweet spot is in the middle, that's where I want to live with that.
Have you had that experience in the past?
Not with paparazzi. They don't really care. But I always love when fans say hi or and that happens, and that's great. There's nothing, anybody who says they're like annoyed by people who appreciate something that they've done, I don't buy it. It's lovely. I just want to like hug them all and like ask them like, what's your name? Like, tell me about you. It's really cool. It's a nice moment.
It was interesting that you just brought up the "what's your name? Tell me about you" aspect, because Tony Hale, brought up the same thing, and he said, one, he genuinely is fascinated because he wants to know what is it about this person that whatever I did resonated with,
right?
And two, he doesn't want it to be about him because it's a two-way.
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing. And it is kind of weird.
Well, they're putting themselves out there by saying something. They're putting themselves out there by sharing this gift of like, hey, I really liked X, Y, and Z. And so my response is like, oh, thank you. Let me learn about you. Let me have a moment with you versus just like absorbing your accolades, which is unhealthy. What
about bad fan moments?
I haven't had any in person. I'm really thankful for.
But there's this thing called the internet.
The internet. I remember back in the day, I used to read the IMDb comments.
Oh yeah,
it was like the depths of terrible.
If you're ever in like a downward spiral and you want to just like keep going, the internet comments, that's got to be the way to go.
They've disabled it on IMDb now, which is so good. And I wish they had disabled it 10 years ago because it was not good for me to read. I have a few creepy fans.
Well, and especially for females, it is I don't think I'm exaggerating to say a tenfold increase in the amount of negative, creepy, disgusting stuff. Yeah.
But it's also, what do you focus on, and I either block those people or send them on their way. And 98% of people are awesome. And everyone I've ever met in person has been genuine and lovely.
That's special.
Yeah, it's great.
So these are fans who have come up to you, they've seen you and want to tell you how much they love your work.
Yeah.
Who have you had an opportunity to do that to and kind of geek out about?
Oh, man.
Whether in a professional setting or even just living here in Los Angeles.
That I've actually expressed it to. I'm so shy about that stuff. I think, Steven Spielberg was pretty great. I didn't go on and on about his career. I just literally, I think, cried in front of him and thanked him and shook his hand. So that was pretty good. I get that way about musicians a lot. I really, Bob Schneider's my favorite musician. And I've been listening to him since I was 19. So all through my 20s, very formative years to listen to one artist who's so versatile.
Well, and the cool thing about that too is Bob Schneider's a guy that 9 out of 10 people aren't familiar
Right.
with.
So you
geek out about it.
Yeah. And so I feel like I've got this like kind of secret that like no one else, it's like I got to share him with everyone so that,
Especially I think when you're here, if you lived in Texas.
Everybody, yeah.
Right. But it's here in like if you go to a Bob Schneider show on the Strip,
Texas,
it is like, it's Bob Schneider.
Like, come on, guys. Yeah. And at some point over the years, after the movie came out or whatever, like we became friends and the Clint, who did the EP with me, was his guitar player. And it was cool because I did this short film a couple of years ago. And when I was in college, I went to a Bob Schneider concert. And I told him after the show, he didn't have any idea who I was. I was just some girl. And I was like, Bob, someday I'm going to move to Los Angeles and be an actress. And I'm going to put your music in all of my movies. And he was like, cool. Alrighty. And then I remembered that. And then, years later, I'm doing this short film. And it's the first big thing that I've produced on my own. And we have this montage at the end, and I'm like, oh, man, we don't have any budget. Like, I don't have any money to pay him. I was like, but this song would be so beautiful in it. I was like, well, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to see. If he says no, my heart won't be broken. It'll be okay. So I did an edit of the movie with his song in there. But I emailed him, and I said, here's a version of my short film. And I was like, this is our situation. You know how much I respect you. If you're open to it, I would love to use your song, And if not, that's absolutely okay. I respect that too. And he got back to me right away and he was like, yeah, Katie, great movie. Sure, here's the song. And it was like this, for him, it's just, an email he got once. But for me, it was like, we're thinking back to that 19-year-old girl who was in college and loves this guy's music. And here I am being able to put it in my movie. It was really cool.
That is pretty rad.
Yeah.
It is weird here because you'll go to the Grove and you'll see, my sister was in town a few weeks ago. And I have an eye for that. Mm-hmm. Like I'll see someone walk by in a hat and sunglasses and be like, oh, that's so-and-so.
Yep.
And meanwhile, everyone else is oblivious. So we're there and Amy Adams comes by. I'm like, hey, Sarah, there's Amy Adams. Who? Where? No one else notices. And so for her to even get a glimpse, it was such a big deal. Right. But I think it is cool to be able to have a chance when you see someone whose work you respect to communicate that.
Yeah.
I don't need an autograph. I don't need a picture. I just want to tell you that your work on XYZ was amazing. So I don't know if you've seen Ricky Gervais's show Derek.
I haven't seen
good.
that.
It's really, really good. To be able to say, hey, Ricky, Derek was special to me. Thank you.
Oh.
Or to quote Friday Night Lights at the beginning of our podcast as we did, to just let people know your work meant something.
Yeah. That's such a gift.
That's a cool thing to get to do here.
Yeah, that is really cool. Speaking of Friday Night Lights, what a show.
It's funny as you say that, I'm realizing that I think the colors of the acoustic foam on this wall, I think these are Dylan Panther colors.
I mean, obviously that was on purpose.
Yes, of course.
Subconsciously, at least.
Blue and black.
Subconsciously, you did that quite well.
So you mentioned your short film. Was that Becoming? What was the name?
Becoming, yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, labor of love that must have taken, I can't imagine how many hours and...
A lot of hours.
Dollars and friends and...
Yeah. It was a huge learning experience. It was amazing.
And that was the first thing you had directed, right?
I co-directed it. But,
okay.
But yeah, it was the first thing that we done
as you
done
expand
together.
Your creator job title.
And it's cool because we had such a tiny budget that Dave, who wrote it and who directed it with me, he and I did a lot of things, a lot of jobs that we just couldn't pay people to do, whether it was costume or set or, all these things that I was like.
Put those knitting skills to use.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. All of the things. And we kind of divvied them up sort of naturally. It just kind of fell to one or the other. And it's cool because now that I've had a taste of doing those jobs, I will really deeply appreciate the work that those people do in those roles in the future, that when I do have the budget to hire people, I'm going to really appreciate them and I'm going to have a little bit better of an understanding of what goes into it because I had a taste and I was like, man, it's hard.
But I don't imagine that you're someone who needs that in the first place.
I think I would be appreciative no matter what, but
right.
I do think having an understanding of what goes in, it couldn't do anything but make me a better director producer,
Right.
There's the difference between someone who's like, hey, do this impossible task in 5 minutes, thanks, versus someone who's like, oh, wow, okay, this is the situation.
This is going to take a while. Yeah.
This is really my goal. Like, let's talk about how we can make it happen.
I feel like I have learned that same lesson, though, that coming up in the ranks, starting in local news when I did, we had to shoot and edit our own stories. Mm. So you've got to go out there with the field with the camera on your shoulder and you shoot the story. And then the best part is you got to shoot your own stand-up as well. So you put it on the tripod, you lock it down, you press record, you go around, you shoot it, you come back, you look, oh, it's out of focus. You go back, you do it again. Oh, I cut my head off. You do it, 20 times later, you get it right. And then you go back and you edit it. And then you realize, oh, there's so much that goes into this.
Yeah.
You have such a better grasp of every aspect of getting it done.
Yeah.
So handling the catering on your own film and all that other stuff.
It was a really fun, we shot in the middle of the summer. It was in July, I think. And we had our last day of shoot. There's a lot of crazy things that happened, but at the last day of shooting, we shot this outdoor wedding scene. And here I am in a wedding dress outside. And we were in a drought, in the valley. And I wake up that morning and I can hear thunder. And it was like the soundtrack to my anxiety. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. Mm-hmm. And this thunderstorm rolls in and the lighting guys wouldn't even put up a light, And Dave and I looked at each other and we're like, well, we got to get the shot. So let's just do what we're going to do. And we rolled with it and we adjusted things and it ended up being kind of this beautiful creative accident that made the movie better. But it was stressful in the moment, but it was cool that we could have an obstacle and turn it into something that actually served us. Those kinds of learning experiences I think are invaluable.
By the way, for people who aren't from this area, I've been here 16 years and I can count on one hand the number of thunderstorms I've heard in Los Angeles.
And it was just that one day. I on the way to set went to the Big Five near where I live and bought all the tarps, all the, the rain jackets for crew. Cause I was like, we're going to be soaked. And I was like, I was like, hey, do you pray? Can you just pray that it doesn't rain on just let we get the shot? No, do you just send good vibes? Just thoughts, whatever you want to do. Just send it to us. We really need it,
Pray for rain for the farmers.
Yes. Yeah. Rain. Just not at that one house in Reseda. Just carve out that one backyard. But we got it done.
So obviously the Paranormal Activity experience was this huge personal and professional highlight.
Yeah.
Since then, what have been the touchstone moments that you look back and you're like, that was satisfying.
Yeah.
That really worked for me, pushed my buttons.
I think it's all the things I've been making on my own. Because there was a period of time where I was auditioning quite a bit, but not from a good place. And so I wasn't booking things.
What does that mean, not from a good place?
I was doing it from a really fearful place, from a place of feeling ungrounded and not owning my worth and not, sharing my light and sharing, my authenticity with people. And so when you do that over and over again, it kind of is this kind of repetitive cycle that doesn't work, right? And so then I recognized what I was doing. And I was like, man, I'm better than this. Something's got to change. Mm-hmm. And stopped auditioning for a couple of years, which was awesome. It was the greatest thing ever. I loved it.
Which is not what you expect to hear from an actress.
Right. Well, and that was my thing. I was like, wow, maybe there's a big world out there. Maybe I don't need to be doing this. And started making my own things. And that was really transformative, whether it was the short film or the music or the web series or this feature that I'm working on. I'm writing a book, which is kind of like a compilation of all these stories. I've started storytelling. And so every time I write a new story, I kind of file it away. And I don't know who's going to read it. I don't know when I'm going to have it out in the next 5 years.
This podcast.
But
so
that's the thing,
it's
like, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because, I just feel it in myself that I need to.
So it's the things that you've done on your own. It's the challenging yourself and the fulfillment that comes from that.
And on a emotional, spiritual level, it was like through this process, even though there were some pretty tough times, I had this opportunity to get to know myself more and to own my worth more and to love myself more and all these things that it challenged me to do. And so I'm a better version of myself now, a happier version of myself now because I've gone through that than I would have been able to be had I had the road just been real easy, if that makes sense. And so I'm grateful for that now. And it's cool because now I'm auditioning again. And I was in Hawaii last week with my mom and I got this email from this casting director and she was like, hey, we've got a role that's great for you. Can you come in on Thursday? And I was like, no, I'm in Hawaii. Can I send it in on tape? And she was like, sure, just get it to me by Thursday morning. So, there I am in Hawaii, setting up my iPod on the bed on top of a trash can, trying to get the angle right. My mom's reading my lines with me. And we had the best time. It was so fun. And I was like, that's what auditioning is. That kind of just sharing your truth and then moving on,
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to come back to that.
Biggest lesson you think you've learned in this whole process?
That everybody has a voice that deserves to be heard, and no one, don't ever allow anyone to quiet your voice. That's the biggest lesson.
Is there a single moment or collection of moments that inspired that?
I think it's a collection of moments of absorbing, because there's a choice, right? You in Hollywood or in any industry, you're going to be told lots of things, and you have a choice. Like, do I absorb all of this, or do I stand my ground? And there was a time when I absorbed all of the negative stuff, right? And all the people who are like, yeah, you need to be different, and you need to do this better, and I just took it personally, and I absorbed it because I didn't have that foundation of who I was in this industry, and now I'm in a place where I can hear all that stuff, and I can take in the ones that really feel right, and the rest of it I just go, hey, thanks. And I am me, and I recognize that, I am enough and you are enough. And, we're not going to be the greatest fit for everyone, but when you find your tribe, like that's the good stuff.
The find your tribe part is key.
Yeah, really.
Which goes back to the support, I think, element from before.
Yeah. And finding your community that you want to be having those moments with and creating with and communing with. And that's the good stuff.
Next dream job for you?
I would really love to have a small production company. I have a production company called Tex Love Films, but I would like to someday have, a small office and an employee or an intern or two, and some windows and, some succulents by the door.
Oh, windows. Now you just slow your roll there.
No way. I'm putting it up on the vision board.
Windows.
Production company with windows.
Yes, I like that.
I think that would be it. I think I'd love to be on a TV show. Like a comedy.
Well, maybe the TV show pays for the production company.
There you go. Yeah. And I'd love to keep volunteering and doing work in that world. It's not really a job, but it's just become a really big part of my life. So I love that as well.
What's the volunteering, by the way? You want to talk about it?
I volunteer at the Suicide Crisis Line, and I never really knew anything about that world. I knew that line existed, but I had never called it. But it is really, it is some powerful stuff to be there for people and to listen when they're just sad. Because the thing is I've been doing it for like 6 months now, and I've never had the same call twice, but every call is the same in that people just want to feel heard and they want to feel loved. And it's amazing the amount of lonely people out there who feel the exact same way and think they're the only ones. So it's something so beautiful about sitting with someone in that dark place and just being with them, and while they kind of get themselves out of it, at least in the moment. It's really beautiful, and sounds, I think, maybe sadder than it really is. It's great.
There's universality to that, though, that desire to be heard and understood. And
that's all anybody who calls in really, even, it doesn't matter how it comes out. If it comes out sideways, if it comes out directly, if it, it's always that. I have yet to have someone who that wasn't really underneath it. And,
well, I'm sure they're happy to have resources there to provide that listening and understanding.
Yeah, it's a good group of people over there. So I'm thankful to be a part of it.
You mentioned Tex Love as the name of your company.
Yeah.
That does bring up the Texas element. How would you compare and contrast life in Texas and life here in
Oh, wow.
LA?
What a great question. I miss the sunsets in Texas. I miss the thunderstorms. I miss my family.
Boy, when it rains here, so happy.
My heart just kind of like rejuvenates when it happens.
This sounds like a first world problem, but 300 plus days of sunshine a year. Like, come on, can we get some clouds every once in a while?
Oh,
maybe some 40-degree temperatures.
I just want some thunder and lightning. I just want to.
Is that too much to ask?
Gosh, it's so great. I always kind of had one foot in Texas and one foot in LA. And I think this past year.
Still kind of, yeah, you definitely.
I do, in the sense that I'm always going back to see my nephew and my family. Like that'll never change. But I have recently, in the past year, recognize that I'm choosing LA now, not because I'm an actress who has to be here, but because I'm a person who really enjoys the community here. I really enjoy this family of friends that I have around me, and the mindset of these people that I've surrounded myself with, and the way we all look at the world, and how, in the group and the world that I'm in LA, it's very accepting and very, it would be hard for me to leave this. It'd be really hard to leave this. So.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine, Mike Trozo, from Texas, but came here after college.
Mm-hmm.
I always give credit to him for this quote, but he said, I was raised in Texas, but I grew up in California.
Yeah. That's
and it sums it up. I mean, I am very much Texas to the core. That's
Me too.
home. I go back as often as I can, like I know you do.
Yeah.
But the challenges of being here, those played a huge role in taking the person that Texas helped raise. Mm-hmm. And, I'm a big believer in the value of challenges, and this place has certainly been part of it. But I think for my wife and I, who's also not from here, the community here, the diversity, all the things you mentioned, I can't echo that enough.
Yeah.
And man, I love going home.
Oh, there's nothing better than getting on my dad's farm and like walking out in the pasture, or getting in the Jeep and driving out in the pasture and just like seeing sky and the sun. And like literally I will like put my hands in the dirt and be like, oh, this is the same dirt that I was on when I was 12 and I was reading Nancy Drew books in this tree. Like, it's something, it's so beautiful.
Got a little good Nancy Drew book.
I read a lot of them. Got them
Hardy Boys.
at the book stop. That's
Hardy
where I got
Boys,
them.
yep.
Yeah.
Best queso in Texas.
Oh, man, it's been so long since I've had queso in Texas. I feel like a bad Texan for saying that. My mom's, obviously. But in a restaurant, I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. I don't. I
think Pappasito's is solid.
Yeah, we're a fan of Pappasito's.
Well, part of the reason I mentioned queso was because you were very kind to bring me queso as a gift.
Yeah.
I am still overjoyed by that.
Which my mother made on her last day in Los Angeles. And it was I was like, Mom.
Thank you, Katie's mom.
Yep.
I really appreciate that, which kind of brings me to the tail end of this, because I don't like people to leave here without gifts. So as you came bearing gifts, I wanted you to have this gift.
Wow.
If you are familiar with Lisa Fain, she is the author of the Homesick Texan Cookbook.
This is amazing.
This is her queso cookbook.
This is amazing.
Little backstory for folks unaware of our queso history.
Yeah.
We do like to tweet about queso.
We have an SMU TCU rivalry and a queso rivalry, friendly rivalry.
Yes, of course. And I figured you might be able to one-up me with Miss Fain's.
This is great.
Excellent work there. I almost got the Homesick Texan Cookbook, but you might have that one already. So I was like, this is a more appropriate.
I mean, this is perfect.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
So
thank you.
If you've listened to the podcast, I don't like people to leave empty-handed. You are lucky, though, because you get to double up.
What?
You get
this is so great. This is the best
two gifts.
Yes. Oh, this is awesome.
So for the listeners at home, this is a Texas-themed T-shirt.
Oh, this is so great. You always have great Texas shirts. Whenever you post pictures on.
Thanks. I've got a decent collection.
Yeah.
My sister has helped me with that.
Yeah, I have a few. But this is at the top of the
Texas
list now.
Forever, TX4E.
That's so great.
Yeah. So enjoy some queso.
And
enjoy a Texas themed T-shirt.
Wear my T-shirt and eat the queso that I made from the cookbook. It's going to be great. Thank you, Mark.
All right. So before we say goodbye, any last things you want people to check out? Of course, they can find you on Twitter at Katie Diane. Instagram is Real Katie Featherston.
Yeah. Those
pictures of Harvey and succulents.
And some Hawaii
selfies
pictures.
in Hawaii. Yes, they can find all that great stuff.
So great. Everyone can go check out katiefeatherston.com, which has a link to my short film and my web series and the music and all the stuff.
Yeah, we didn't mention the web series, by the way, which I wanted. You can give a pitch for that as well.
It's called Solace for the Unloved, and it's about a woman in her early 30s whose life is falling apart, and she's trying desperately to keep it all together. It was very fun to make.
It's entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's kind of the comedic. It's the darker side of being single and wondering what's happening in your life, but it's done in a comedic way. So, I think it was really fun to make.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everyone gets a chance to check out that. find all your projects. Halloween is coming up as we tape this. This will air after Halloween, but
Cool.
Really, Paranormal Activity will scare the pants off of you no matter what time of year it is.
That's true.
So let's end it how we began. Clear eyes.
Full hearts.
Texas forever.
So good.
Texas forever. Well, hopefully those of you that are not Texas natives could still appreciate our chat. The biggest takeaway for me was the idea that the journey is more important than the destination, and also how powerful creating can be, that creativity can exist in a variety of forms. It doesn't have to be artistic. You can create in business, in housekeeping, in how you raise your kids, in life in general. And I think a big part of embracing that is not letting fear dictate your choices. So I appreciate Katie sharing those lessons with us. Hopefully those are ones we can all appreciate. Speaking of, I appreciate Katie taking the time to share her story and for sharing her queso. And I appreciate you for listening. As always, I hope you enjoyed today's episode and will subscribe, tweet it out, share with your friends. Also share your feedback with me on Twitter or Instagram. You can find me at Mark Istook. That's Mark with a C. On Facebook at Mark Istook TV. And you can read more online at markistook.com/dreamjob. Until next time, thanks for listening.